Good afternoon, class. Welcome to the first Train the Trainer session that we are holding. Overall, a lot of subjects will be talked about, but I will just be going over myself, garbage, and just plumbing. So, for an introduction, some of the most important aspects of running a food service establishment, other than the staff itself, includes the proper care and use of plumbing and garbage disposal. Without correct protocols when handling trash, unpredicted problems can arise in the operation, such as outbreaks of illnesses. With this implication, the business could receive a bad reputation that could be irreversible and further lead to loss of customers in the long run. Starting off with the basics of plumbing. The general pipes in a food service industry or operation need to be installed by a licensed professional. If installation is done by a non-reputable business, this can lead to water contamination, faulty pipes, and outbreaks such as typhoid fever, hepatitis A, and or norovirus. Other illnesses can also arise depending on the situation, where the business is located, and others. Once the pipes are installed, management and the installer need to go through the system to make sure that there are no cracks or leaks in the pipes anywhere in the food service operation. The greatest challenge to water safety comes with cross connections. They are the physical link between safe water and contaminated water within the pipes. Contaminated water can come from drains, sewers, or other wastewater sources within an operation. Another big problem that can arise from cross connection is backflow. Backflow is the reverse flow in a water system that can cause contaminated water to push itself back into a clean water supply. That is not a good thing whatsoever. Back siphonage is another challenge that arises sometimes within an operation due to the fact that a vacuum type movement is created when too many water sources are linked together, therefore pushing clean water and contaminated water into the same place. An example of back siphonage will be a mop bucket onto the floor with a hose connecting from that into the faucet, and into that faucet, that dirty water will leak into the clean water supply. Moving on to maintaining equipment. Once any piece of equipment is installed within a restaurant, a licensed or qualified professional will need to make occasional visits to inspect equipment to make sure it is functioning properly. Overlooking a small issue with equipment may ultimately lead to a bigger problem, such as contamination within the water supply, as noted before. Another problem that can come with pipes is the fact that grease condensation builds up after lots of uses. And a problem to combat that issue is to install a grease trap that is at the end of every single pipe system, so it's very easy to install and uninstall and clean and whatnot. Grease traps are very accessible, so they don't interfere with normal business inside the restaurant during business hours, that is. And they are just another product that needs to be installed by a licensed professional as recommended by the manufacturer. Going into water supply, the best way to prevent backflow is to avoid a cross connection, which includes not attaching a hose to a faucet unless a prevention device such as a vacuum breaker, which will prevent back siphonage, as I explained before. Other ways to prevent problems like these is to install double-check valves and reduce pressure zone backflow preventers. These devices are highlighted as very important because they include more than one seal or one valve for sealing off of the water supply. Another great option that double valves provide is that they give the option to make sure the double valves are functional, because double valves are just two single valves combined together, in which a single valve is not very efficient because if you turn the dial, all your water gets contaminated and back siphonage can occur. A local regulatory authority establishes certain standards based on their jurisdiction. Only drinkable water can be used for prepping food in a food service operation. That goes on to potable water, which means only water is available for drinking, no other uses. It has to be clean. They can come from public water mains, private water sources like wells surrounded by the business that are regularly tested and maintained by a regulatory authority or management or owners of the restaurant. And they also can come from closed portable water containers. Going into garbage disposal, there are 5 key points that can ultimately lead to a very clean environment and restaurant. Those are garbage removal, cleaning of containers, indoor containers, designated storage areas, and outdoor containers. I will be starting off with garbage removal within a restaurant. Garbage should be removed from prepping areas as quickly as possible during hours to prevent odors, pests, and possible contamination from trash to food or prep areas. Staff must be very careful when removing waste so it does not come into contact with food, contact areas such as cutting boards, prep tables, and any other surface that a worker might touch whilst they are prepping food. Also, cleaning containers is very frequently needed to clean the inside and outside of garbage containers because it will mitigate the contamination of food and food contact surfaces. Will also keep away pests and odors, so that won't bother anybody. It's very important to not clean these containers near any prepping areas or any food because cleaning a nasty dumpster compared to getting it near food is not a very good combination at all. Moving on to indoor containers, they must be very easy to clean, leak-proof, waterproof, pest-proof, and must be covered when not in use. Moving on to designated storage areas, waste and recycled items need to be stored separately from food and food storage areas because it will not be very good if they combine because the odors and the diseases or maybe whatever sicknesses come with that trash will never help a customer if it is put in their food. Moving on to the last one, we have outdoor containers. Garbage cans need to be placed on a surface that is smooth, durable, non-absorbent, keep covered at all times. Great examples of places to put outdoor containers such as dumpsters and other big bins that can be removed by a regulatory authority or professional garbage remover are asphalt and concrete because they are, like I said, very non-absorbent, smooth, and are very easy to clean up if mess is spilled or anything of that sort. Moving on to conclusion. Plumbing must be installed and maintained by a licensed professional. Very important. Cross connections are dangerous because it is where backflow can occur and that will never be good. Vacuum breakers, double check valves, reduced pressure zone backflow preventers are all used to prevent backflow within the operation, and they all connected on different pipes in areas that they need to be put. Garbage also must be removed as quickly as possible from prep areas in order to prevent odors, pests, and possible contamination within the food service operation. Finally, garbage containers must be cleaned inside and outside frequently, as I mentioned before, just to get away from pests, keep no odors, and that's it. Now, moving on to my final topic today, I will be going over the learning activity, and that is I created a 8-question quiz / matching activity that if students pay attention during this lecture, I feel like they could determine or figure it out very, very easily. So starting off from number 1, I will be talking about airspace. Airspace is a space that separates a water supply outlet from a possibly contaminated source. A vacuum breaker is a mechanical device that prevents back siphonage. They are electric devices that just regulate the pressure of water and can increase or decrease power depending on where the water is headed into the pipes, etc. Another one is called cross connection. Cross connection is a physical link between safe water and dirty water that comes from drains and sewers. Moving on, a booster heater is a machine that will heat water to temperatures required for hot water sanitizing around the kitchen line. Back siphonage is when high water in one area of an operation creates a vacuum in the plumbing system that contaminates back into this water supply, which is not very good at all. Moving on, potable is just drinkable water that is only used for prepping food and to give to customers, which it needs to be safe or is not healthy whatsoever. Moving on, backflow is the reverse flow of contaminants through a cross connection into a drinkable water supply, as I mentioned before in the lecture. Finally, our last one of the day is double check valves. I explained what a double check valve was, but I'm going to go more in depth, meaning that a double check valve allows the water source applying the pressure in the pipes to shift the shuttle so that the higher pressure will be directed into the delivery port, therefore bringing clean water to wherever the consumer or kitchen staff member or employee directly needs that water. Now, I'd just like to say thank you for attending today's lecture. If there's any questions, please let me know. Thank you.